morning. I want to, first of all, thank everyone for coming today. You know, in this storm and rain and thunder, there is a light of hope. And it's very important that today we do light this light of hope, which is Diwali. So, first of all, wishing everyone a happy Diwali. This is the third year that we've done this here at the State House. Governor Patrick was not able to attend today. He is actually at a conference at JFK Library for a trade mission all day long. But in his place, we have Chris Walsh, who's going to be presenting a proclamation issued by the Governor of Massachusetts. I believe this is the first time in the history of the Commonwealth that a proclamation is going to be issued for Diwali. So, first of all, I'd like to invite Chris to come up and say a few words.
Thank you and good morning. So Festival of Light, which actually most parts of the world have these Festival of Lights, typically in the wintertime around here, is really one of my favorite things. It's that sense that bringing a light into a dark space, sort of you see things as they are when you don't see them before, and it really is just such a wonderful metaphor for the knowledge of other people and other cultures. I'm an architect by trade, and I've always told everybody that ever worked for me, if you want to be a good architect, you have to travel the world. You have to see what people are doing in far-flung places and understand the connection of people and place, and how fabulously intricate and interesting the world is. So each of these, to me, these festivals, these times when we can be here in the State House and we go other places and become accustomed to other cultures and other ways of being, there also is that interesting thing, as I say, that you learn after a while that people are people the world around, and that's a wonderful place to start, certainly as a legislator. So I thank you very much for being here. I welcome you to the State House, which I think is a wonderful place and a wonderful building. And I am going to read the proclamation from Deval Patrick, Governor Deval L. Patrick. Whereas religious diversity and the freedom to exercise religion have been an important part of the Commonwealth's history and is a right afforded to all its residents by Article 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And whereas the Commonwealth's South Asian community has gathered to celebrate the 5-day festival of Diwali, also known as the Festival of Lights, and whereas families and individuals within the South Asian community will joyously light small lamps known as diyas and decorate their homes and temples, and whereas Diwali is celebrated by various cultures within the South Asian community and primarily symbolizes the victory of good over evil and knowledge over ignorance. And whereas during Diwali we wish the members of the Commonwealth South Asian community goodwill and happiness in the year ahead. Now therefore I, Deval L. Patrick, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim October 23rd, 2014 to be Diwali, and urge all citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance in this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, the 16th day of October in the year 2014, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 238th, by His Excellency Deval L. Patrick, Governor of Massachusetts, and also signed and witnessed by William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth.
I've realized that, the messaging of Diwali is the key. It's not about who's at the podium. It's not about how many people are in the room. It's not about how many press or video. It's the symbol of lighting a candle and to ward away the darkness and bring in hope. As my mom and I were driving here this morning, and You know, we were talking in the car with my auntie, and we were talking about this. You know, it's important, regardless, to be able to light a diya, to symbolize this. And having the Commonwealth's support to do this. When we started this 3 years ago, when Deval Patrick, our governor, first came up and signed and lit a candle, you know, he welcomed the elders in our community. Because, you know, with their hard work and struggle is why we're here today. You know, it's their stories, the rich tapestry. And I recall him saying, you know, welcome my uncles and aunties. This is your house. This is the State House. So on his behalf, I welcome everyone and really share in their journey. We have a big road ahead, and through our collaborations, through our communications, through the ability to realize that we have more in common than what sets us apart. This morning I sent off an email and I asked everyone, you know, on this day of Diwali, talk to a stranger, do a show of kindness to anyone and wish them happy Diwali. For that is the true message. With that, I'd like to invite another friend of mine that we met a few weeks ago for the Prime Minister's visit. And we became instantly friends. And when I asked Ravi if he would come to join us today, he absolutely wholeheartedly agreed. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Ravi Chaudhary from the President Obama's Asian American Pacific Commission.
Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Wind didn't get you too much? I'm thankful for a couple of pilots for getting in last night, and I wish each of you the happiest of Diwalis on behalf of the President of the United States. Chris Walsh, Representative Walsh, thank you for coming today. Amit, Cecilia, Levine, thank you so much for putting on this event. Really means a lot to me that you would have me up here to share in this special event with you. I bring good tidings from Washington, the White House, and our President on this beautiful day of Diwali, a day in which we celebrate the victory of light over darkness. But I want to share with you a little bit of what that light means to me and to our President, who's so excited to share in this occasion. It really is a metaphor for one thing that everybody here in Boston can really relate to, and that's freedom. Think about that. Freedom, liberty, and humanity, and the right to be oneself, to be the self, to share your inner light with those around you. But I would add one more thing, but that freedom and liberty is expressed in an environment free from scrutiny. We don't always have that, do we? We've always felt that at some point in time that my freedom is somewhat inhibited by the forces that are around me. That is the light. That is the struggle of light over darkness that we fight every single day. And I'd encourage you, as our President does, to stay in that frame of mindset. Let your best self come forward. Let your light come forward and inhibit the forces of darkness. Because when you do that, we become what in our nation is prized. The concept of liberty, the concept of inclusion, the concept of tolerance, the opportunity to be authentic in your world. That is the light we all seek and why we are celebrating Diwali today. So under the leadership of Governor Patrick, Amit, Cecilia, and Representative Walsh, that's happening right here. That diya burns bright in events like this, expressions of our own human freedom that are so important to our daily lives, that bring us that light and shine that light throughout the nation. And which is why I absolutely had to come up here when I met Amit and share in that with you. Because I believe in our president that when you lead and lead with that light, others will follow. And whether it's the challenges we're facing in our economy, whether it's the challenges we're facing in civil rights, whether it's the challenge we're facing with climate, those issues are the issues that become resolved when we come together to discuss our issues. Now, our prayers are also with the folks in Canada who are dealing with such a terrible tragedy. But that just makes me think about the light even more, and the light I have to bring to the world to start inhibiting those forces of darkness. So with that final word, I'm honored to read this statement from the President on behalf of him, and I know that you'll know what he feels is what I feel, and what he believes our best selves in America are.
I would like to wish everyone happy Diwali, and I'd like to say a few words about it. Diwali is a time to celebrate the victory of good over evil, freedom over oppression, light over darkness. There are many problems in this world. There's disease, famine, war, old age, death. And although we are eternal spirit souls, full of knowledge and bliss, we have somehow fallen from that spiritual platform. At present, we are in this world, and while we are here, we should do our part to help others. And by helping others, we ultimately help ourselves. Diwali is a time to remind us that there is one God, and we are all His eternal servants. And we should do our part to serve Him and make this world a better place. Service to God aims to uplift mankind. So the lighting of a candle or flame on Diwali represents the triumph of light over darkness, and it also signifies that I, who am lighting this candle, will do my part to help fight against darkness in this world and to make the world a little brighter. Man proposes, God disposes. God is fulfilling all of our desires, and we let Him know what we desire by our actions. It isn't always enough to think or say, I want peace, but we should show God we want peace by our actions. Someone may have had the desire for the children of Afghanistan to get a good education, but unless she had shown God by her actions, it may never have come to pass. Merely thinking about it or even talking about it may not be enough to make a change. We have to act on the desire. Actions speak louder than words. When we light a candle on this Diwali, we can think, I will do my part to make this world a better place by my thoughts, words, and actions. So by lighting these candles, we are acknowledging that we will do the needful to ultimately achieve the victory of good over evil, truth over falsehood, light over darkness. And with God's will, it can happen. I wish all of you a happy and spiritually prosperous Diwali, and may you all be successful in your endeavors to make this world a little bit brighter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Getting this proclamation from the governor, this belongs to the people. and this belongs to our temples. So Pyari, I'd like to present this. I can't think of a better place to have this displayed than our temple, that our devotees can see the true message of our governor. Happy Diwali.
Thank you.
And this year, we wanted to create a whole message that our education, our literature, our ability to be able to converse, to be able to create change, to be able to help bring communities together. And, this year we decided to, bring in some incredible authors from India to be able to be part of the Boston Book Fair that so happened to be a part of the Diwali season. So I guess it was Kismet that this all happened. And last night, Geeta Anand arrived here from New Delhi, and it was such a pleasure to be able to meet her at the airport. And I'd like to thank Turkish Airways for bringing her here, and it was an amazing flight. So anyone who flies to India, please, like to thank our sponsors for being here. Geeta was mentioning that the food was incredible all the way over. These are our stories. And this Diwali, to be able to share these stories and just have that message, it's from the heart. And that's what's really about Diwali. So I'd like to invite Geeta to say a few words about Diwali. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I, many years ago, was a newspaper reporter for the Boston Globe, and the State House was my beat. So I spent many months in this building, and many years before at Boston City Hall, when City Hall was my beat. Those were two very difficult jobs to get as a young Indian reporter here, because my colleagues and editors wondered if anyone would talk to me, if the politicians would understand what someone from India was doing covering Boston City Hall. At the time, there weren't very many Diwali celebrations. The governor wasn't signing proclamations welcoming people to Diwali. At the time, my challenge was making clear to the city councillors that I understood them. So one of the things I would do was go to baseball games, so I'd have something to talk about with them. And I remember going to one baseball game where, of course, the Red Sox were playing someone. And I had a great time. I ate a lot of hot dogs, and I came to City Hall the next day, and I went to Jimmy Kelly, who was then the council president, and I was like, "Jimmy, great game last night." And he said, "Yeah, who won?" And I didn't know. I had a great time, but the game was just... But when Amit told me what this event was about and what the South Asian Council was trying to do, I really felt inspired to try and come, because I do feel like what he's doing is so important to our communities here. It's so important to see our culture appreciated by the people who govern, to feel understood and to feel somehow a part of what the government is about and a part of what the culture is about. So thank you so much for your work. Thank you for inviting me here, and happy Diwali to all of you.
Very honored today to introduce someone that has inspired me on so many levels. Razia, who is here from Razia's Ray of Hope. I met you in my office a few months ago as we sat there exchanging stories and telling us about the incredible work that you're doing in Afghanistan. Just at that moment, I knew this we have to highlight, we have to show. At this Diwali, the light of education. Imagine, if you will, being a young girl in Afghanistan and risking your own life to come to get education, one of the most fundamental rights that we have here in this country. But in other parts of the world, it is not as easy. There's so many challenges. And the work that your foundation does is incredibly inspiring. And if we can change one opinion, which you have done so beautifully, as I recall you mentioning that, when you started the school, that the men in the community said, "Why are you doing this for the girls? You should be doing it for our boys." And now I believe you mentioned that some of the fathers saying, "No, my daughter's the smart one." And that's incredible, to be able to change that perception. And that is the message of Diwali. That light of education, which brings stability, which brings economic prosperity, which eliminates ignorance, which shows an incredible way to be able to foster good and live up to your dreams. Why shouldn't anyone live up to their dreams? Simply because they're a girl? Simply because they were born in a different part of the world? So this year, I'm humbled and honored to have Razia Ran here to tell us her story. And we're going to continue telling her story because it is a very important one. And we're going to talk more about, and there's a documentary that's coming out that we're talking about her school. And we're working to make sure that we have the New England premiere here, and everyone will be invited, and to learn more about these children. On Sunday, we're at the book fair about the children's book that you'll be reading from. And on Sunday at the Children's Museum, what a wonderful opportunity to have Razia read from her book about her girls so that American children can understand her girls in Afghanistan. And through this relationship, build an exchange and to know that we're all here together. There's more that brings us together than sets us apart. So it's my deep honor to invite Razia Ran.
I was sitting behind Representative Walsh, and I really wanted to touch his to see how it feels. And I'm so glad I have one. So I really tempted to just, but then he said he might be like, wow, who's touching me from the back? But I really wanted to see how it was really beautiful, and I think mine is better than yours. I think it's something that it's so important in life that you always help somebody else when you can and not hurt people if you can't help. I think that's my motto. And I lived here, I'm an Afghan, I'm a Muslim. I lived here for about 40 years. I came to get education and then couldn't go back because of Russian invasion and Taliban and so forth. And I think after 9/11, it just changed my life. And I said, I have to make people understand what Afghans are and what Americans are. And so I really tried to work between two cultures and I think was very, very successful and got a great support with helping our soldiers there and so forth. But wherever I went and whenever I went, I saw that the girls are the ones who are suffering the most. And if you went to an orphanage and there are girls and boys and you would give them a toy, you would give the boy a ball and a girl a doll, and 5 seconds later the boy would snatch it. And so I thought, well, girls need to really be protected and have self-respect. And as Amit mentioned that the first day we were opening the school, and 4 men came in really well-dressed chapans and white clothes, and they came and they told me, and actually one of them put his finger in my face and said, you know, why are you opening a girls' school? Change it tomorrow when the president or vice president is coming to a girls' school, because, to boys' school, because the backbone of Afghanistan are boys. And I put my finger in his face. I don't know where I got the idea. I said, girls are the eyesight of Afghanistan, and unfortunately you all are blind. I really want to give you some light. And that is, our school is now 7 years old. We came from nothing to we had, I think, over 100 girls, and great difficulty to even support it, really. And now we have 440 girls. And this fall, next year, we will have about 500 girls. And we have KG through 12th. And my main goal is that these girls should be respected, should be counted, and should be given the right that they deserve. Every day it's a challenge for me and for these girls, because they have to face different, not just their family, but the whole community who are against giving them education. But I think we go one day at a time. People ask me, are you scared? Yes, of course I'm scared. They say, well, you think something might happen to your school? Yes, of course I think that, but I cannot stop. This is something that I have to continue and hope for the best and bring that light that they need, they deserve, and give them that self-respect. Although it's a small group, but believe me, out of these 440 girls, by the time we finish the high school, it will be 650 girls. I think one of them will be a president or a minister or something really great, because they have that capability of learning, and they have so much thirst of knowing the world. And we have provided that opportunity. We have internet, the whole village is dark, but my school has solar system, and there's electricity 24 hours. So that's the light we have. That's the help we give them to learn. And all the girls, we have these small battery-run little lamps that at night they sit, they put a sheet on them, so they get all the electricity, light, and they study after their chores. And this is a book that is beautifully illustrated, beautifully done. It's a really true story for little girls, but I think the older people can also learn a lot out of it. That if you have faith and if you want something, you always accomplish. You might have a lot of problems, but I think in the end you will win. And this girl is right now in 7th grade, and she couldn't go to school, but it's a true story. Thank you so much.
Krishna